Who's taking care of your kids right now?
Excuse me, are you trying to shame a working mother
Not
of
at
four?
all. But you weren't telling
Who's
us.
taking care of my kids right now? What an anti-feminist statement to make. In fact, I have an amazing spouse who homeschools my children. But if my children were in daycare right now, who are you to tell me that I'm not a good mother? Oh, you just asked who are taking care of my children. Would you ask a man that? Would you have asked a man that? If a man was standing here, would you have said, who's at home taking care of your kids? No, you wouldn't. You asked me that because I was a woman. That's anti-feminist.
Everyone, I have a video from Kristan where she's faced with this confrontation, and the way it unfolds is absolutely shocking. I'll also be giving my thoughts along the way, so let's jump into it and watch.
It's really fucking laughable that it's only white people equating slavery to owning an abortion. Not once have I heard one black or woman of color.
Faith, do you want to come up here? Because apparently color matters.
I would like to hear from a woman of color why
Sure,
that
Faith,
isn't racist.
come on up here.
I would
Because
rather
now
hear
that-
that.
Go ahead, Faith.
What's so funny?
Why are you pro-life, Faith?
Yes, thank you.
I am pro-life because life begins in the womb at conception. And I think that our personhood, our rights should not be based on having to be human plus something else. That's exactly what happened with slavery, where we were told that you have to be human plus not black. And now we're saying that you have to be human plus a certain age, or human and in a different location. And so really what abortion is age-based discrimination.
Black people weren't seen as humans.
They weren't seen as human beings.
Black people were not seen as humans.
They were like.
The Supreme Court actually said that they were 3/5 a human person. Just like how you all have denied that a child in the womb is a human person.
No, it's not. It's not human.
That's fundamentally incorrect. What is it? What is a child in the womb? Is it a koala bear? When I get pregnant, am I pregnant with a koala bear? I'm pregnant with a member of our species.
A fetus of a dolphin looks the same as a fetus as a human. You literally can't tell them apart because it's not.
Telling the truth is never an act of hate. In fact, it's an expression of love and honesty, even when others may not want to hear it. As followers of Christ, ladies and gentlemen, we are called to speak the truth, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. It doesn't matter. Jesus himself was not hated because he was unkind or unjust. No, but because he spoke the truth and challenged the world's beliefs and systems.
Your argument is essentially that it's a human, it's a member of our species, it has its own body, but because of where it's residing, you should be able to do whatever you want. So essentially what you're doing is you're treating another human being like your property. Is that right?
No.
Because you're treating this as your property. Well, if I can do whatever I want, this baby's inside of me, it's inconvenient to me, I can dispose of it, I can kill it, right? I can use this, twist off a limb, pull it out, and that's okay. That act of violence is okay because it's my property.
What I'm saying is that while the baby is inside of your body, actually, essentially that is what I'm saying. While the baby is inside of your body, you have the right to decide what to do with it because it resides in your body, because it is a part of you, because it is not yet its own autonomous thing, because it is directly affecting your life.
What happens when the child can survive outside the womb? I'm asking you, since you made the argument that it's a woman's body because she can do with what she wants, and you said it's her property, if the fetus can survive outside of the womb, is it moral to still abort it?
I think if the fetus can survive outside of the womb, there's no doctor that would abort it. They would obviously, like you said, choose that option.
You've never met a late-term abortionist then. You can Google late-term abortion tonight, and you can find late-term abortionists who commit abortions. So Dr. Carhart is in Maryland. He goes between Germantown, Maryland, and Omaha, Nebraska. Every single week, he goes back and forth. He operates 2 late-term abortion facilities, and he says you can abort for whatever reason, because it's your right, up until the moment of birth, and he commits late-term abortions every single week. The 2 abortionists in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the abortionists in the Denver Planned Parenthood, they all commit late-term abortions. Women do choose late-term abortion. And it's not for reason of there's a physical risk to the mother. Because if that's the case, you don't go to a dirty abortion facility, you go to the hospital and you have your OBGYN treat you as two patients. When women who are visibly 9 months pregnant, visibly 8 months pregnant, go to an abortion facility, they're choosing abortion because they feel like they have to, because it's environment, they're living in poverty, they have something, the child has some fetal abnormality. That's the reason they choose to abort their child. You don't end suffering, though, or potential suffering, by eliminating the sufferer. That's not how it works. Does that make sense?
So like you just said, those women would only choose to have a late-stage abortion because they feel like they have no other option.
No. I've actually met women. I was reading an article today of a woman in Canada who chose a 9-month abortion because she said she wanted to. Her boyfriend broke up with her, and she didn't want to have the baby.
And that's her right to choose.
Her right to choose what?
To not have the baby, her right to bodily autonomy.
So you believe that when a fetus can survive
sharing.
outside the womb, it's okay to still abort it?
I think that that's the female's choice.
That's the problem with a lot of kids nowadays. They tend to form their opinions based on far-left media and liberal ideology without fully considering a wide range of perspectives or even critically analyzing the information they are exposed to. It's alarming how many young people today are heavily influenced by media outlets. It's very shocking, ladies and gentlemen. Social media platforms and ideologies that often promote a one-sided narrative. How sad is that? Rather than encouraging independent thought, these sources frequently present a narrow, filtered version of reality. And ultimately, many kids are observing these messages without questioning their accuracy or even motives. How sad. How sad.
How many genders are there?
I don't know specifically, but more than 2.
Do you know how many there are?
I mean, queer, fluid, male, female, and then what? I don't know if transsexuals is valid as a gender by itself, or it's fluid. I don't know, yeah. More than 2. I cannot classify them specifically, though.
Sure. Over 18, consenting adults, no problem. Should the theory, or what we're speaking about here, right? Should that be pushed on children? Should that be anywhere near children?
No. The main point is allowing everybody to choose for himself. It's not about converting or convincing people, especially when it comes to kids and growing up. The process of growing up and actually embracing our own identity, singular one, is to be free as much. Sure. So there shouldn't be any influence, not even any implying this is the right way to do it in the schooling process. Of course not.
So the LGBT lobby, which is quite powerful now in the West, you say it's geographical. In the UK, in the West, it's quite large. That shouldn't be near under 18-year-olds. Is that what you're saying?
No,
over 18 is different.
Everybody should be exposed to both narratives, and they should have the power and the intellectual capacity to make up their own opinion.
Does a 3-year-old have its...
No, of course.
What about a 6-year-old?
Not even. I'd say maybe during adolescence we can actually start to think and speak about those things, but it's still something that would be iterative, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's not even about 18 years old or before or after. It's an iterative process. Somebody would achieve proper... somebody would embrace their own identity in the 30s, somebody in the 30s. Everybody should be allowed to have his own time even.
But so I hear what you're saying, but I have to just pick up on that. There seems to be a bit of contradiction there. There must be an age legally where children are or aren't exposed to what is called radical gender theory by a lot of people.
I would say that any radicalism, when it comes even to nuclear, let's say right-wing radicalism or left-wing radicalism, progressives or conservatives, shouldn't be allowed to be exposed to any children at all. They just have to deal with mere facts, and the teachers should empower children to have their own critical thinking rather than just letting them follow whatever the teacher or the person in authority position would be saying.
At the moment in the UK we have hate speech laws, and if you misgender someone that goes down as a hate crime. There are a few examples where people have been slapped quite hard in court. Do you believe in hate speech laws, and do you think that if you misgender someone that you should face the full extent of the law and that should be illegal?
I mean, I'd say not regarding to gender, but whatever hate speech should be faced with law when it comes especially gender, culture, religion, whatever. I mean, the goal of democracy is to allow everybody to express themselves without no harm. But if you are actually using the power of social media, of speech, or even the authoritative position that somebody could have because he is a journalist or whatever, to foster hate narratives is always wrong. Because those narratives can always be instrumentalized, they can always de-escalate when it comes to context and settings that are not really empowered with culture.
But specifically on misgendering, that is a crime at the moment in the UK. Do you think it should be a crime if you misgender someone?
No, misgendering, I mean, it depends. If the person that I am misgendered never stated in the first place her, his, their gender, I mean, how can I know whichever is your gender? So it's always a...
But that's the thing, that's my point, and that's why I want to play devil's advocate with you. That's exactly my point, because they can identify however they want, based on what you say about essentially live and let live. That's fine, but the issue with gender, which we've never had before, there's been stuff enshrined in UK law for a long time. If you use the N-word, for example, and that goes to court, you're going to get in serious trouble.
Yeah,
it's just been that way for a long time, but with gender, it's complicated.
Yeah, it is.
So that's what I mean about misgendering. If I ID a certain way and you misgender me, that's a hate crime. Do you agree with that?
No, it's a bit too radical, because we cannot assume the intentions of whomever. We always need to be clear about whatever. So if I recognize, for instance, my pronouns would be her, she, her, my pronouns are he, him. But if I decide that my pronouns are she, her, I should state it there in the first place. Yeah. Because we are still in a framework in which those kind of things should be stated in the first place, rather than became victimistic because somebody mistaken that. Even though I didn't. It
certainly looks too radical, and the negative consequences it produces is that victimhood, which you can then turn to legally as well.
Moreover, far-left media outlets and the dominant liberal narrative often rely on emotionally charged rhetoric to appeal to the feelings rather than the logic of young people. How sad. It's like they're saying, throw away common sense and use your feelings. How sad. These platforms, they tend to exaggerate issues to capture attention, making it all about feelings without driving into the full context or providing, neutral arguments. They don't do that. Instead, they foster a deeper understanding that is all biased. It's all brainwashing. These outlets, they prioritize sound bites and quick judgments. That's all they do, making it easy for kids to form opinions that feel valid at the moment but lack substance or depth. It's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. The world we now live in is crazy. To sum up, the preaching of the gospel of Jesus Christ is an immensely positive and impactful act. It brings about personal transformation, spreads love, justice, hope, and truth. It aligns with God's commands, ladies and gentlemen. It offers eternal meaning, fills those who hear it with deep joy. Ultimately, it's the most precious gift humanity can receive, creating lasting change in both individuals and communities, reflecting God's heart and His purpose for the world, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click on the next one. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe. I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now.